Courtside Karen. Courtside Karen. That was the funniest thing in a while. Like, look, I know this is not a basketball video. I know this has nothing to do with the game at all, but it was just one of the funniest things that happened last night. And I had to talk about it because it was just so wild and so funny, and there was so many layers to it. Like, it was one of the funniest things about this whole season. And this season has been so weird because of the virus and all the weird stuff that's going on, the fact that really shouldn't be even a season right now. But putting that all aside, there really hasn't been much any anticipation or top things going on with basketball. Like, usually when during a season there's always some non-basketball related stuff that becomes super dramatic and hilarious, and it just becomes a big thing online. And I was wondering that we really didn't have a lot of that this season, but here we are today, and Courtside Karen is here. I mean, man, it's just wild. Okay, if you don't know what happened, first of all, I don't know how you don't, but if you don't know what happened, basically the Lakers and the Hawks last night, they were playing in Atlanta, and in the arena there were fans, and they even had fans courtside. And like any other courtside seats, you have to have a lot of money to be able to get those seats. So during the game, LeBron was doing his thing. He had an incredible game last night, by the way. He was shooting threes with so much confidence and everything, so he played really well. But even with that, LeBron was playing well. He was doing his thing, and apparently there was this guy courtside who was, they were drawing back and forth with LeBron, and LeBron set some stuff back, and then here comes the lady who just gets up and starts yelling at LeBron. And then LeBron just kind of understandably just doesn't know how to react. He just kind of laughs it off, tells her to sit down or whatever. But she pulls her mask down and keeps yelling at her, and it's just the funniest thing ever. And then that keeps going, and then LeBron, the game stops, and then security gets her out of the game and they kick her out of the arena. But that alone was funny, right? And the commentators during that game were also hilarious about it too. They were talking about the memes and stuff, so the commentators were funny. LeBron even was on the court, you watched the video of the thing happening, and even LeBron's just kind of laughing at it because it was just funny, which it was. But that's not where it ends, right? That's a fan going crazy during a game. It happens when there's fans. A fan says something or does something that's a little crazy, and then it gets to the point where security has to come in and kick the guy out or whatever. But this was so different because this lady is sitting courtside. First of all, why are there fans? There should not be fans. That's the first thing. Second of all, they should not be courtside where you're near the players. And then the third of all, she pulled her mask down to yell at LeBron, and man, it's just wild. But that's not even the worst part, right? So on the way out, apparently she's on Instagram basically doing the whole video and rant about what happened. She's like, oh, I was just doing this stuff, and then LeBron was saying this stuff about my husband, and I stepped up because I was mad at him for talking smack about my husband, and then I kind of told him to F off and to sit down, and then they kicked me out for no reason, and blah blah blah. She was basically, you know what white women do, they play the victim a lot, but they did that thing and it was hilarious. But it was just kind of wild how it all unfolded, you know what I mean? And the funny part is that after that whole thing happens, if some time goes by, the games are over and whatnot, but the game ends, and she goes on Instagram and she basically does a full detailed thing about what happened. Turns out this lady who everyone thought was someone in her 40s, just some Karen, yelling at someone, she's 25. And she had to emphasize that in the video. She went out of her way to state that she's 25. And no one could believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wait, she's what? 25? I'm not gonna go after her looks, but she did not look 25. Let's just be very clear. If you saw what she looked like, you see the pictures, she does not look 25 at all. Maybe it's the makeup, maybe it's something else, I don't know, but she did not look 25. I couldn't believe it when I saw the video of her yelling at it. But it's just that kind of entitlement is the funniest thing in the world to me, and that's a whole nother conversation that has nothing to do with this situation. But it's just funny how I don't know how you can have that kind of confidence to just yell at LeBron like that. I don't know how do you have that kind of confidence to just yell at someone like that. Yell at anyone like that, right? Like, I don't know how you can just yell at anyone like that. I don't know how anyone has that kind of confidence in themselves to do that. But LeBron James? You're yelling at LeBron James? I don't know what I would do. Like, it's just wild to me. Like, how confident she was and how she was not afraid to back down. If security didn't step in, she would have kept going, and that would have been a whole, long thing that would have happened throughout the whole game. But I mean, good on security for stepping in and getting her out, because it would have become a bigger problem. And who knows what else would have happened. But it was funny because there was other videos that came out courtside when the thing was happening, and everyone's telling her like, yo, put your mask on, and she's like, no, I'm not gonna put my mask on. We all have already had COVID. It's not that big of a deal. Stop whining about it. And I'm like, okay, now you're just turning into this virus denying mask, anti-mask, whatever it is. But that's a whole nother thing. But it was still funny just watching all that happen, and then the reaction to her being 25 and then finding out who the husband is, and everyone being like, oh, so that's who she is. Because once you think that, okay, it's just some crazy white lady who's like who feels entitled and has this like level of confidence to scream at anybody, but when people found out who the husband was, and then when people found out she was 25, that's when everything like happened on the internet. And oh my god, I love Twitter so much, man. It's such a toxic app so much of the time, but during nights like that, like last night, when something like this happens, it's the best place to be. Not just for the memes, not just for the reactions, but like everything just makes it so funny, and I think the funniest part, and this was probably the funniest part of the night, when LeBron, after the game, LeBron does the post-game interview, and they ask him obviously about it, and he has this very very politically correct answer. He's like, hey, I'm just glad that fans are back, and it's fun that I get to go back and forth with a fan again. It's fun. I'm glad the security stepped in. He gave a very like polite, very straightforward answer. He really like kind of like not dumbed it down, but like he kind of like watched himself, what he was saying, which is the right thing to do when you're speaking to the media. You don't have to go crazy like that. But after that, like after the post game, he tweets, "Courtside Karen was mad." Like, oh my god, like everyone made the joke, right? Like everyone made the Courtside Karen joke, but for LeBron to himself go out of his way to tweet it like that, like that just like brought the whole thing to another level, because everyone's just like, oh my god, he gets it too. Like he's the GOAT for that. He like that alone makes him the greatest of all time, right? Like only he can do that kind of thing, right? Like, god, it's just so funny, man. Like how this happened, how it all unfolded. LeBron tweeting the whole Courtside Karen was mad, and like it's just the funniest thing ever. And even the funny part about this whole thing is this morning when I'm recording this, it came out, like Woj just tweeted like not too long ago that they're planning the All-Star game in Atlanta. Like, I don't even know why they're doing an All-Star game, first of all, and for them to be doing it in Atlanta, of all places where COVID is just not like a thing there. But to have it in Atlanta, and everyone's making the joke now that, oh my god, what if she's there? Oh my god, we should have her there. Oh my god. But yeah, it's just a wild thing that this happened, and it's probably weird that I'm talking about it right now because it has nothing to do with basketball, but it was too funny not to talk about. That's just how I saw it. Like the way it unfolded, the reaction afterward, the internet reaction afterwards, the Courtside Karen, the memes, the white lady screaming at the cat meme. It was just a great night. Like, god, I love the internet, and I love basketball sometimes because this stuff like this just gets overblown, and it's hilarious, and I love every minute of it. Also, Richard Jefferson going through the girl's Instagram and liking all of her old posts. What are you doing? Like, get some help, dude. Like, come on. But yeah, I don't know why. I had to talk about it just because of how funny it was, and man, I love this stuff so much because it has nothing to do with basketball, and it's just like, it's all jokes and it's all fun. And her getting angry the way she did, being 25 and having that old husband, like, it's just, there's so many things that made it so good, and I'm so glad it happened because it was a great night on Twitter. Yeah, alright, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you guys for watching this rant basically about what happened last night. Let me know what you think about the whole thing. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about it. I thought it was hilarious. But yeah, also if you haven't already, subscribe, leave a like, do all that stuff. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.